Doug.
We had dresses come up today, and we were able to open up holes on each side of the road on 950, right at the water tower, and bored under the road. We've got the wire ran through there. If I know it was going to be a beautiful day like this, we would have had trenched our lines in. Here's a copy of the statute, or the requirements of IDEM. Anybody on our distribution system, in town or not, we are required a minimum of 20 pounds of pressure. And I'm going to make a couple of copies of this. It also requires here, if you want to read some of that, that during fire where you have hydrant flow, we're supposed to maintain a minimum of 20 pounds. And right now, we don't even have that without a hydrant on that line. Yeah. Jonathan Sweeney, who lives in Bill Hartfield's house, has also experienced some problems. We done another check on his hydrant today, and it's right at 19 to 20 pounds, and based on the sweat line of the tower when we were out there, it was pretty close to being full, so he's probably right at 20 pounds. So I got with Greg, and we can use this one pump, set it up on the hill there at Thomas's, run them, and if we have to, run a 3/4 tub tube down to his meter and raise his. And we check the manufacturer, and the pump would handle both of those residences.
Well, that'd be good.
But still, our long term is at the end of that line on the, I think there's 3 fire hydrants on that line, and we don't have 20 pound pressure on them. So we probably ought to have some kind of plan in place, or that we are aware of the situation and we are taking the steps to correct the problem. It's going to affect your rating when they come back and the Fire Association does the pressure ratings on them.
Well, I agree that the 20 pound pressure. My point is not this. My point is we're not required to maintain a fire hydrant outside the city limits. No one says we're required to.
We have to maintain 20 pound of pressure on that line.
Then we pull that.
Whether that hydrant's there or not. Whether that hydrant's there or not.
We're not required to maintain a line outside of town.
No.
The line has been put in, and you have allowed these people to hook onto this line. I don't know that you can go to them and say, hey, we're not going to give you water anymore. I mean, maybe you can, I don't know, but we have the line there.
We were doing that, but
Well,
as a matter of principle, I just don't think.
The other option the town hasn't discussed is that they can do a surcharge to anybody that's on that line and limit those costs to those folks, and then they can make a decision, do they want to pay that surcharge, or do they want to live at the pressure where it's at?
One thing the state can do to us, if we're not providing minimum pressure to everybody on the system, they can impose a ban to where
Right.
we can serve, but Bear Classics wants to increase any businesses coming in. I don't know, they may even be the fact that anybody's not got water turned on right now, like somebody in Florida, and he come home in April, we may not be able to turn you on. I don't know how strict this ban is, but they do have that ability.
It's a moratorium, and they can impose them. They're not favored, and they don't like to do that. But they can, certainly, the town is doing a rate study right now, and they should be looking at, those consultants should be looking at if you need a surcharge on the outside users on that particular line alone to cover the cost of having to do that, because the inside users are not responsible for that.
That's my point.
That's kind of, and that happens all the time. I mean, there's been appellate litigation about imposing surcharges on outside town users. I mean, that happens a lot.
Client could say our operation has changed. We now need
Right.
120
Million
pounds.
gallons a day.
And we could say we don't have that, and we
They could
cannot
say, yeah.
provide it. And I don't think that we're required to do it. I don't think we would.
No, because we're giving them the 20 pound minimum. That's required. And as
I
far as a surcharge or something like that, that's illegal, something that you would be more familiar with.
It's just a rate.
At some point, I have to let my IDEM rep know that, hey, we're not providing this 20 pound pressure. You know, we've got an issue with this line, we've got the engineers in here, and we are trying to come up with a solution, whether it be a surcharge or whatever.
It's a legal
But I have to
question,
do that to cover myself.
but we can't, I'm not sure we can't be blackmailed by everybody who doesn't have satisfactory pressure when they live out
I
of
agree with
town.
what you're saying, John, but I'm hearing conflicting stories when everybody's thinking it's legal and not illegal. I would like to be able to, for you to find out what you can, and I would like for IDM to come here and talk to us.
I want to be clear, I'm not opposed to providing good pressure out there,
Well, yeah,
but
yeah.
what else is coming down the road that we can't provide?
And that's one thing we need to be considering, because I'm sure we're gonna grow, and we're probably gonna grow several directions.
Yep.
And as we're adding on, that tower's still gonna be the same height, and you've got more draw,
And where is the boundary line?
right at the back of Bill Hart's property, the fence line runs
So
through.
that boy is in town limits.
No.
Sweeney is, or Gainey,
Yeah, he is. Gainey is.
The
The water tower.
No, one is and one isn't.
the water tower's actually, the back north side of the water tower fence is town limits.
But anyway, it's a technical question, but it could come up and really be a serious issue,
Right.
down the road, and,
That's why I wanna get all the legalities out on the table so we know for sure instead of sitting there guessing every time what we can do and what we can't.
I totally agree, and one question that I have along this line, did those people pay originally?
For the
Or did someone in that residence pay originally to hook up the city water? If they did, that's another liability that we may have to consider.
I would assume that they did, just like when anybody builds a new house, when they run that line up there. Some of them were existing customers, Tom. There used to be on the west side of the road, a 2-inch line that ran out through there. And I think this 4-inch line was put in because at one time there was a turkey barn. There was actually one on the east side of the road, and there was one on out on the right side of the road that Cottrell had. And part of putting this line in was to provide water for that operation, and they switched everybody all over to the bigger 4-inch line as opposed to the 2-inch line. So I would think they were either an existing customer that had paid a deposit and a tap fee, or the new houses that have been out there, like Callahan just built last summer, he paid a deposit and a tap fee.
I mean, my question, the simple solution is if they're not outside the city limits, so come within the city limits and provide it. But if they have paid a fee to tap into city water, and we said, yeah, we'll go ahead and provide that, and now we can renege and say, no, we're not, that scares me.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if we put them on the system, we're supposed to provide them with 20 pound of pressure.
Yeah,
Technically, like if we go to a main break or anything like that, below 20 pound of pressure, we're supposed to issue a bulletin depending on the circumstances.
And that's all fine and good, but it's very common for towns that provide service like that in and outside of town to have an inside and an outside town rate.
I believe that.
And because of the issues that are inherent with serving outside your town limit and
Well, I don't have a
the
problem with
additional
that.
costs.
Well, yeah, there's more line, there's more.
I mean,
Right.
you know, we're bending over backwards to fix our problem. I don't have a problem with charging her a surcharge.
Well, I
I
think
agree too.
you gotta know the cost, and
Right.
I think he's given you some numbers that Brian has. And then those have to get conveyed to UMBAW, and UMBAW has to be told, they have to look at it rate design wise. They have to design an inside and outside rate, because they've not done that in the past.
Well, and if you don't have some kind of surcharge, every person that lives outside the city limits can come here and say, I don't have enough pressure, I want something done.
Well, and I mean,
We can
surcharge
do
is
a pressure
probably,
test to verify
at some
that.
point,
probably not the right word, it's really just an inside and outside rate. It's really
at
not a
some point,
surcharge.
the town can say, we cannot provide the services you require. And,
Our system.
There may
I
be
don't
a
think city
limit.
law says you have to do it when you.
No, you don't have to go farther than you are, I understand what Tom's saying, and Keith about your existing, but yeah, I think that would have to be a real question before you willy-nilly start adding people on, especially with the growth that may occur because of 69 and the demands
I
that
want to
may
be
be.
clear, I'm for solving her problem, but people we're spending money that the folks here in town, are paying, to solve a problem that in Madison Township.